evening. I'd like to call to order the regular council meeting, Town of Strathmore, held at council chambers on October 3rd, 2012. I'd like to welcome the members of the public as well as the members of the press. First of all, item number 2, public hearing. Since there was no public hearing, we will move on to number 3, agenda amendments and adoption. Are there any addition or deletions to tonight's agenda? Councillor Sobel?
Your Worship, I do have one item, and I appreciate the difficulty adding items are on our regular council night, but I wish to add the matter of downtown beautification to the agenda under old business, and as required by our procedural bylaw, for the explanation that certain comments made today in a local newspaper may give an inaccurate account of actions being taken by both Councillor Blockman and myself, and I feel it's essential that these be clarified as soon as possible.
Okay, that will become part of the old business. Any, Councillor Blockman?
Worship, would that be 7.1?
7.1, yes.
Yes, Your Worship, if I can get under 7.2 on downtown beautification, please.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Hamilton?
Nothing, Your Worship.
Councillor Brown, from your worship. Okay, that brings us to number 4, item 4. Adoption of the September 19th, 2012 administration meeting agenda, meeting minutes, found on page 1.
Your Worship, I move that Council adopt the September 19, 2012 administration meeting minutes as presented.
You all heard the motion? All in favor? Item 4.2, adoption of the September 19th, 2012 regular council meeting minutes found on page 5 of your package.
Your Worship, I move the council adopt September 19th, 2012 council meeting minutes as presented.
You've all heard the motion? All in favor? This brings us to item 5 on the agenda, delegations. 5.1, we have members from the Strathmore Municipal Library Board, and I'd like to welcome you to the board. Mr. Jim Greer, if you wouldn't mind introducing your fellow library board person.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, councilors, administration, members of the public. My name is Jim Greer. This is Jesse Chukwa, our Director of Library Services.
Good evening. Now, I believe tonight we're making a presentation to Strathmore Council. We've received the package that talks about the needs assessment survey that was done and some ideas that you're bringing forward to council.
Yes.
So would you like to make your presentation?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Yes, we're here on behalf of the Library Board to discuss what's happening currently at the library. First, I would like to announce that the Library Board is undertaking a facility needs assessment, which will evaluate the library's current and future usage, needs, and make recommendations for enhancing our facility to accommodate those needs. We have hired library planning consultants and RC Strategies to develop the assessment. Library planning consultants has consulted for libraries across North America, including doing work for us in 2002. RC Strategies also has previous local experience working on both the Hope Bridges facility needs assessment and the recent Strathmore Quality of Life survey. The library received a $15,000 matching grant from the provincial government to fund this assessment. The assessment is scheduled to be completed by February 2013. As part of this assessment, we are asking the public to complete a survey on their usage of the library, and I would encourage the councilors here to do that as well. This survey is available in hard copy from the library or online at our library's website. If any of you would like more information on the assessment, you can contact Jesse at the library or Rob Parks of RC Strategy. And the contact information there is also on the library website. Now I'd like to talk about the current situation of the library. We've completed our proposed budget for 2013. The highlights are, it's a balanced budget with revenues of $304,261. This assumes zero growth in grants. Our expenses are budgeted at $304,250. This includes a 1% cost of living increase in staff salaries and benefits and $1,500 in capital expenditures, specifically furniture replacement. This leaves $11 to allocate to our reserves. Wow. The library provides numerous benefits to Strathmore. Patronage has steadily increased, with the number of card holders almost doubling since 2002. The number of patron visits per week has more than doubled since 2002 as well. Monthly circulation has almost doubled, and interlibrary loans have rapidly increased to 49,000 interlibrary loans in 2011. The library is also a community access point for public computers. The number of public workstations has risen to 10, and usage of these workstations has risen to an average of 50% occupancy. I work in the real estate business, I think in occupancy. So generally, if you've ever been in our library, you're going to find a number of people at the public computers. Our programming has steadily increased as well. We run the annual summer reading program, Story Time, regular author visits, regular community art displays, and information technology classes. Other services the library offers include office services like photocopying, faxing, printing, scanning, laminating, and computer disk repair. We have a meeting room for rent, high-speed wireless internet, and video conferencing available. We lend ebook readers. We have downloadable ebooks, audiobooks, and music. We have Canadian National Institute for the Blind library access. We have special materials and equipment for patrons with visual impairments and physical disabilities. We provide study space, exam supervision, and technology assistance to our patrons. We support the food bank through an annual drive. One of our most important community benefits, we feel, is that we are a public space with no access fees. Small groups regularly come in to meet informally around our tables and discuss their issues. For all the benefits that the library provides the town, our level of service is considered to be at a basic level. The provincial government has a set of standards for service delivery for community libraries. These service levels are classified as essential, enhanced, and excellent. These are frankly politically correct terms that equate to basic, average, and above average. The Strathmore Library serves not only the town, but the population of western Wheatland County, for a total service population of about 14,600 people. That is admittedly an estimate. Our actual collection holds 33,269 books. This is below the standard for a basic level library for a community of between 10,000 and 20,000 population. Our visual media collection has 1,358 items. This is equivalent to an average level library for a community with a population of 10 to 20,000 people. Our audio media collection holds 1,556 items, equivalent to a basic level library for a 10 to 20,000 population. For staffing, the library has 5 full-time equivalents, one of which has a library sciences degree. This is equivalent to a basic level library of 10 to 20,000 population. With being open 52 hours, this is equivalent to average level library service for a community with a population of 10 to 20,000 people. For technology, we have 10 public workstations, 2 circulation workstations, and 6 for staff. The public and staff workstations equate to a basic level for a population of 10 to 20,000, while the circulation workstations equate to a basic level for a community of 3 to 5,000 people. Our actual space is approximately 5,600 square feet, and this equates to a basic service level for a community of 5 to 10,000 people. The main reason that service is at a basic level is the lack of space. The library is undersized for a service population of over 14,000 people. The library has reached its maximum space as well. For each new item brought into our collection, another item must come off the shelves permanently. The high number of interlibrary loans indicates that the collection is not large enough to meet the current community's needs. However, the library has reached a tipping point for our resources. As stated earlier, our expenses have matched our revenues. As inflation causes costs to go up, the library will need an increase in revenue. Cutbacks have already begun. In past years, we have budgeted for a supplemental book purchase fund of $5,000. That fund has been dropped in order to have a balanced budget. As well, our capital expenditures have been reduced for 2013, so we are only replacing worn empty equipment and furniture. The library's municipal grant is at about $13.40 per capita. The total funding for the library has increased over the years due to population growth, but the library's per capita grant has not increased since 1994. Adjusted for inflation, $13.40 in 1994 would be equivalent to $19 today. The library is essentially $5.60 per person below the rate of funding the council provided the library in 1994. This graph shows that between 1994 and 2011, the per capita funding has fluctuated between a high of $13.69 and a low of $9.32. And that in 2011, it is essentially at the same as the $13.39 in 1994. Just to put that in context, since 1994, Strathmore's population has risen from 4,880 people to 12,139. Similarly, town administration has grown from 50 full-time municipal positions in 2006 to 65 full-time positions in 2011, according to the data on the Alberta Municipal Affairs website. With Alberta's economy, expenses will likely rise over the next 5 years. If we assume a 2% annual inflation, the inflation equivalent for the 1994 per capita grant would need to be $20.98 in 2017 and $23.16 in 2022. The town is projected to grow over the next 10 years as well. These projections that are on the screen are taken from the town's servicing plan that we found on the town's website. Now, the projections in the plan are aggressive, the original projections, so we've revised them using 1, 2, or 3% of population. Basically, we consider that probably a more reasonable percentage growth for the town. This means the projected population could be between 13,409 and 16,314 people by 2022. This does not include the population of western Wheaton County. The upshot is that the town will continue to grow, and to accommodate that growth, the library will need to increase its resources. To meet that need for increased physical resources, the town will need an increase in its per capita grant. The library would like to request a $10 increase in its per capita grant to be phased in over the next 5 years. The phases should be a $5 increase per capita for 2013, a $1 increase per capita for 2014, 15, and 16, and a $2 increase per capita in 2017, for a total per capita grant of $22.40. We feel that this proposal is modest in its increase, and the cost to taxpayers would be minimal. Alberta Municipal Affairs lists the town as having 5,060 dwelling units in 2011. The maximum total increase per dwelling unit would be $11.99 in 1 year, the equivalent of a single paperback per household. This tax increase would be the maximum because it does not factor in the increase being spread over the non-residential tax base. We would be happy to answer any questions that you have. In summary, we wish council to consider our request. We understand that you've not completed your budgeting for the 2013 year, so we would ask this council tonight to direct administration to study the feasibility of this and report back to you at your fall budget meeting. We're not asking you to approve anything tonight. We certainly wouldn't ask you to check anything without doing your due diligence and making sure that this is feasible and reasonable for you, for the city, for the people of the town, and for the library itself. We would be happy to answer any questions you may have. And in summary, this concludes our presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Greer. Just before we go on to any possible questions or comments from the councilors, I just want to point out that I also sit on the library board. I don't have any financial interest, obviously, in the board. I'm hoping that's obvious. But it is a town-supported board and institution. The main thing is that I might be privy to more information than some of my fellow councilors as far as the situation in the library and finances. So I just wanted to get that information out there. And now to my fellow councilors, are there any questions or comments from Councilor Sobel?
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you for the presentation. You're obviously speaking to the converted. I'm an ex-board member, and I still continue to be an active member and visitor to the library. And I'm not sure who would like to answer this. Perhaps Jesse. It might be more appropriate for Jesse. But every once in a while, and it's more frequent than I like, I hear people say that libraries are a thing of the past. That there's libraries closing all over the place. I don't agree with those comments, but I wonder if you might comment on something like that.
It is a very common thing that I get asked, is I'm frequently asked by people, do you see any future for the library? And to be honest, I really do, because libraries are changing, or at least attempting to change with the times, and where we're going is we're seeing a lot more downloadable content. Jim mentioned this very briefly in the presentation, but the library does offer ebooks, audiobooks, and we also just rolled out on October 1st a music downloading service. So as people's reading habits and listening habits and entertainment habits perhaps move to a more digital and ephemeral form, I guess, for lack of a better word, we're continuing to try and provide those services to them at a reasonable expense. The other thing is that one of the other ways the libraries are transforming themselves is as people perhaps view the library as less of a place to go to get reading material and that sort of thing, but I honestly don't think that is going to go away either. But they try and become more of a part of the community, a place to gather, a place to exchange ideas and that sort of thing. So, many libraries are transforming themselves, either in their existing facilities or building new facilities that better accommodate this need of the community for a place to gather. And I honestly don't think that we're going to see the end of print or the end of libraries anytime in the near future. In fact, since 2001, I wish I had the exact statistics, but I do know for certain that since 2001, the number of books published per annum has substantially increased. There's almost an insatiable worldwide demand for reading material, and I see the library as playing an important role in that demand in the foreseeable future. Plus, there's a lot of material that can't be made available in online formats. Like an ebook is very handy, I think, for reading fiction. You can have a massive library of fiction to read in a device that, weighs about as much as this remote control here. But there's a lot of material that can't be put into those devices. Think about a coffee table book for art. That's something that is not going to be easy to put into a digital format that's as convenient as a book. So we're going to be seeing print for quite some time yet.
Just to add to that, if I may, I think there's also significant proof in the user statistics that we've included in our presentation. As we said, in 2002, the population was 8,000 people. In 2011, it was 12,000 people. So there was a 50% increase in the town's population. But in almost everywhere, you can see either close to 100 or over 100% increase in library card holders, in patron visits, in total circulation, in interlibrary loans. I mean, usage has increased over the past 9 years rather than decreased. So as more technology comes on, the library, I think, is going to, in my personal opinion, as more technology comes on, the library is going to become more important, not less.
Good, Councilor, so the second question?
I'll get out of everybody's way here. Congratulations on the $11 donation to your reserves this year, gentlemen. Waco.
Thank you.
I'm kind of hoping that it's been more lucrative than previous years. But as this is a request for funding, I think it's fair to ask the question as to how solvent you folks are. Have you got funds that are available if you're looking at a new building or renovations or expansions? Are you bringing some funds to the table?
As for solvency, we have in our operating fund funds that would basically, if we lost our funding, if we lost every source of revenue on January 1st, we could operate for about 8 months. We believe.
I'll get up my calculator.
It's about $200,000.
Thank you.
It's about $250,000.
Thank you.
We also have a reserve fund of about $300,000. 300, maybe 350 at the most. Now, if we need to build a new facility, and that facility, well, let me just look, to say at average, to provide an average service level, that would mean a 13,000 square foot facility. We all know what building prices are. We'll have maybe 10%. That's one of the things that the facility needs assessment will theoretically address, is what the ballpark costs might be, where we can get funding, the provincial government, you know that, but where we can get, sources of revenue. That being said, we're going to have to be more proactive than we have in years in fundraising. I've lived in this town since 1994. I'm in watching different projects come in. I know that this town responds very, very well to specific projects, to fundraising for specific projects, not as vigorously to funding for operating funds. So I think that if we do decide that we need to build a new facility, we would have to start a fundraising program, and I believe this town, in its generosity, would respond to that.
Thank you.
Councilor Hamilton?
Just a couple of questions. You referred to the West Wheatland County service area. What exactly is that? I thought the whole county was served.
The whole county is members of the Marigold Regional Service, Marigold Regional Library Service. When I refer to the western Wheatland County, I'm basically talking about from the Wheatland border to here and a little bit beyond. We are a full-service library. The other full-service libraries in Wheatland County are in Rockyford, Standard, and Lazar. There are two, I believe they're book drops.
They're called community libraries. They're smaller. They provide more services than Book Drop because you can actually have materials sent to them through interlibrary loan and that sort of thing. And they actually do provide a reasonable amount of service. They have video conferencing like we do and a few other things like that. But limited hours, very limited hours, and limited material being held on site.
Anyway, my point is there's two of them, one in Depletion and one in Carson. So for somebody living between here and the Wheatland County border, we are the full-service library that they would need to come to if they need to get something.
If I may add to that. The Strathmore Municipal Library has the highest number of Wheatland County residents registered specifically at our library.
There's between 600 and 700 Wheatland County residents who are card holders at our library.
Yes.
Thank you.
Councillor Bilden.
Yes, Your Worship, through the chair to Jim. Speaking of the Wheatland County memberships you got, is there any contributions coming in from Wheatland County?
In the past, there is not. We actually heard from one of the members of the press while we were waiting for the meeting to start that Wheatland County is going to start funding the library for 2011 and 2012. We don't know if this is ongoing continuous funding, but it is per capita per Wheatland resident cardholder. And it's at a rate of $15 per capita. So it works out to $15 times 600 people. So this is news to us as of half an hour ago. So.
To Mr. Greer, I have a couple of questions. One of them is, in your research on your plans for the future of the library and funding and a possible needs assessment, were you able to determine the funding done by other communities regarding libraries, where Strathmore fits in as far as its support of the library compared to other places?
Yes, we did actually provide that to council in our handout. We didn't include it in our public presentation.
Okay.
We were told that we needed to keep this to as brief as possible, so we tried to be judicious in our discussion.
Would council object to just a quick reference to that, just to see where we fit in with other counties or communities?
It falls on the last page of the handout you were all given.
Councilor Sullivan.
Actually, I was reading this before, and it did raise one quick question. Per capita in column 5, we're talking apples and apples, oranges and oranges. This is all per household?
Per person.
Per capita.
Per capita would be
So per,
that amount multiplied by the population of the community.
so that's population.
Yes.
Yes.
The final, as you can see, there's also a column labeled direct payments. That's to accommodate one-time grants provided in the fiscal year mentioned in the data. That's why there's essentially two local appropriation per capita columns.
I see, okay, I got you. Thank you.
Yes.
So just a quick scan of this, we would fit in second from the bottom as far as funding appropriation per capita?
I believe so.
That is correct.
Okay, that's good to know. The second question I had was, in your needs assessment, and you gentlemen know my opinion, because I've expressed it at different times in the board meetings. In your needs assessment, will the needs assessment study consider the existing downtown building as possible locations for the Strathmore Library? I think a lot of us are concerned about the downtown core, losing businesses and empty businesses. Is that going to also be one of the thrusts of the needs assessment study?
When we had our initial discussions with the consultants, we told them not to rule anything out. Basically, it's going to be it's not going to deal with specific properties or sites, but it will deal with basically what's the best way to describe this. It will give us a clear, independent, and uniform criteria to be able to assess all possibilities. So we'll be able to look at current, we'll be able to look at our existing site, at other existing buildings, and at the possibility of building a new building, and also the possibility of expanding our current site. Just to speak on behalf of the board certainly does not want to leave downtown. We feel that would be completely counterproductive to the mandate of the library. You want to be in a high traffic location. You want to be easy for people to get to, and you want to, in fact, you want to encourage walking traffic. So downtown is an ideal site for the main branch of the library, and most main branches of the libraries are very centrally downtown that I know of.
Are there any other questions or comments from the councilors? Council Blackman?
Your worship, through the chair, Jim here, I'm looking at this last page here, and I'm always asking questions, usually I have no idea what I'm asking, but from Cold Lake down to Sylvan Lake, the bottom half of that chart,
Yes.
and Strathmore population base is, between all of these towns are not only about 1,000 or 2,000 apart. We're looking at the appropriation for Strathmore at $157,000.
This was in 2010.
2010, yeah, and above there is Canmore, about triple that, at 539,000, and Wetaskiwin at 367. I'm trying to figure out how these numbers are so far apart up and down.
The local appropriations?
Yeah.
These
When we're all looking at roughly, the population isn't that much different.
If I could interject, Council Blackman, I think that might also show a definite philosophical difference in approach to communities as to how much they want to support or how much they feel comfortable as a council and a governing body to support their libraries.
Yeah, this is basically municipal funding from the various municipalities. It's the decision of the council in that year to fund to whatever level they think that is appropriate and they are capable of doing. So
Canmore Council must obviously think the library is a very important part of the
they must obviously do that. Yes.
Could Canmore also tie into the fact that they have a relatively new place?
That's entirely possible. I don't know the exact specifications of what these appropriations pay for, but yes, the Canmore Library is quite new. I don't think it would, if this is where you're going, I don't think it would include capital funding to pay for it, although that is a possibility. I do, that is a possibility.
So this information does show us where the funding, how much funding for each town as far as supporting the library operations.
Yes, this information was culled from the Public Library Services branch data that they publish on their website annually.
So that's the branch of the provincial government, just to explain it. Anyone in the room who might not be.
Yes, that's part of the Alberta Municipal Affairs.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, I have a question for the administration just before we go to the motion, since this is my first time chairing the meeting. If the motion comes forward and we're looking at accepting this as information, do we have two options? Do we have the option of accepting it strictly as information, or can it be information with the intent to bring it to the fall 2013 budget? Because I'm just wondering where we're going with this. Are we able to present that as a motion either way, or is it strictly information?
Motion, anything?
Motion can go either way? Okay, just want to clarify.
And I would move that administration review the provided information supplied by the library board and return possible actions council may consider at the fall workshop meeting.
You've all heard the motion. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation, gentlemen, and obviously we'll be in touch.
We look forward to it. Thank you very much for your time. maybe a minute or two just to...
Sure.
Okay, that brings us to item 6 on our agenda, 6.1, the public hearing for November 7th, 2012, found on page 15 of your council package and public package.
I move the council set a public hearing date for November 7th, 2012, commencing at 7:30 p.m.
You've all heard the motion, is there any discussion? All in favor? This brings us to item 6.2, bylaw number 12-19, Strathmore Lakes Estates Land Use Amendment, found on page 17.
Your worship, I move that council provide first reading to bylaw 12-19.
You've all heard the motion? All in favor?
Your worship, I move the council set a public hearing for bylaw number 12-19 on November 7th, 2012.
You've all heard the motion, is there any discussion? All in favor? Item number 6.3, bylaw number 12-20, Wildflower Ranch Phase 2A Land Use Amendment, page 25.
Your worship, I move that council provide first reading to bylaw number 12-20.
You all heard the motion, all in favor?
Your worship, I move the council set a public hearing for bylaw number 12-20 on November 7th, 2012.
Again, you all heard the motion, is there any discussion? All in favor? That takes care of bylaws for tonight's meeting. Item number 7, old business, one that was added to the meeting tonight, 7.1, Councillor Sobel regarding the downtown area. Any comments?
Thank you, Your worship. On April 28th of this year, at the Town Spring Workshop, this council approved the joint request by Councillor Blockman and myself that they be authorized to discuss the concept of downtown beautification with members of the downtown core. This effort continues, and we have had the good fortune to engage other members of the community as well. We've been pleased to see and hear both pro and con comments to some of the ideas that have surfaced. The results of our efforts will be brought forth to council as previously arranged at the fall workshop presently set for November 17th of this year. I'm concerned about comments printed in today's Strathmore Standard. Councillor Rempel, who clearly is against this whole project, is quoted as saying, "It," meaning Councillor Blockman and my research project, will be at committee this week and probably won't make it out. Councillor Best is reported to have stated that he wished it to be made clear that this is not under the direction of council and solely the efforts of two individual councillors. I wish to remind both councillors that although council at no time offered any support for this project, they did authorize both of us to conduct research and were provided all the information that Councillor Blockman and myself have used in this project. I also question both councillors' ability to vote on this matter if and when it comes to council in the future, as it's clear they have already formed a very firm opinion, something that appears to be in violation of section 2.15 of Town Policy 1103, which deals with mayor and councillor code of ethics and conduct and the need to demonstrate fairness and open-mindedness on all matters. Lastly, that same policy in section 3.1.1 states that the appropriate forum for healthy and fulsome debate and discussion of matters before council is in council meetings. Certainly, I feel I feel as though the comments made by both councillors Rempel and Best were disrespectful and presumptuous, which, by the way, contravenes section 211 of the town's code of ethics, and I invite an apology in this matter.
Thank you, Councillor Sobel. Are there other comments from councillors, a response, or councillors having comments to add to that?
Well, to Your worship, I had brought this up at the committee meeting before, that they intend to discuss it tonight, and because we're 2 members short, I know the mayor had some input, and so I asked that it be held off until the meeting of October 17th.
Councillor Rempel, I understand your your comments regarding holding off the discussion of this to a later date when both councilors or both councilor and mayor on back at the meeting. I guess my question or concern is that the philosophy of the statement made by Councilor Sobel is the thing that we're trying to address here, and whether or not we should be saying things in public that show any kind of a preformed idea. I know that's one of the first things that was told to me when I was elected, was that we have to keep an open mind and not let our public, our personal opinions be aired in public to show that we've made our minds up before a decision has come forward. So I think, I understand what you're saying, but you wanted to present this at a later time when council is full, but I think that doesn't address the concerns or questions raised by Councilor Sobel. I think what we're looking at here is a question of what we should and shouldn't do out in the public. I believe this council wanted to carry itself a certain way and make sure that we do things the proper way and present ourselves the proper way in public. But what we are looking at now is how are we going to deal with this? Councilor Rep, do you have any ideas or comments that you would like to present or bring forward to Councilor Sobel regarding his statements?
Well, through the chair, I never did support the idea of them going out there and promoting this boulevard and what they call beautification of the downtown. First of all, it's not even a council item or a thing that the council will get involved with. It's something that the Chamber of Commerce will get involved with, and if we as a council, and I would have fully supported recommending it to the Chamber of Commerce to go ahead and research the possibility of doing a downtown beautification. But it is not a function of council to go out there and promote this, and definitely not with taxpayer dollars. That is an absolute no-no.
I'd be curious to find out what taxpayers' dollars were used.
Well, why does it come to workshop?
But that was council's decision.
It's come to workshop.
I'm not paid, Councilor Rempel, to do this. I'm not paid to get paid anything extra to do this, and neither is Councilor Blackman. So I'm doing that.
I understand that.
Okay.
Why does it come to
Clear
workshop?
on that.
But why does it come to workshop? If I do it for funding.
Well, let's wait until it comes before you make a decision on that. I don't have a problem with that, but
Yeah, but absolutely, because you already indicated before how much money you're looking for from the taxpayers to do this.
If I could interject here, I believe council did give direction to the two councilors mentioned to discuss, look into, draw up some ideas as far as downtown beautification. Nothing to this point has been decided or spent, but it is a council-directed action that they took. We supported that action, and I believe they do plan, or did plan, to bring forward the information that they have found. I don't think, we all agree that nothing has been decided on spending money at this point. Councilor Rempel?
Like I've indicated before, and I want to discuss it when the mayor is here, and
I'm ready to move on, Your Worship. Thank you.
This is a unique situation for me.
No action is required, Your Worship.
No action required?
Don't worry about it.
Okay. I would like to add, though, something that I worry about the discussion and the forum for discussion being held in the media and being held in public when we should be doing it in the proper environment, in a public meeting where people can see this. And I do understand the need to not come into anything, any decision, any item with a predisposed or a prejudged idea. I think that's something I would caution all of us, including myself. We do have to make sure we remain unbiased and open-minded. So there's no further action that you request, Councillor Silva?
I'm fine, Your Worship.
No further statement, Councillor Rumpel, or any comments you'd like to have before we move on from 7.1?
No, it was done.
Okay, thank you. Item 7.2, Councillor Blockland had something to bring up.
Thank you, Your Worship. I can't leave this alone, so I'm going to carry on with this downtown beautification. I wrote myself a letter here on the weekend, and I want to bring it forward to council for information purposes only. Like I said, I wrote this on the weekend before I read this morning's local paper with published articles in it. Regarding downtown beautification, I want to clarify, as everyone is aware, Councillor Sobel and myself have been doing extensive legwork and communicating with citizens, plus businesses via emails, phone calls, etc. Through some of these social media contacts, it is felt that we are going to do this, so we are going to do that. Contrary to all the above, this is not the situation. As one downtown business owner mentioned last week, we certainly have discussions going on in town. Myself, I feel this is good. We need public input, whether you agree or disagree. The more public input we get, the better. There are some great ideas out there, whether it's a meeting down the middle of a street or something else. And I trust with council's support, ideas, vision, planning, and cooperation between town council, administration, plus downtown business owners, we can and will give downtown an identity and a better area for everybody. Remember, every downtown, every village, town, city is the core, the pulse, the heart. All Councillor Sobel and myself want to do is make sure we get there. And with everybody's support, we can do that. Let's move forward with forward thinking and a vision for the future. Because if we don't, downtown will still look the same years from now as it does now. And to me, that's not moving forward. Respectively, Councillor Blockland and Councillor Sobel. And on hindsight to this letter I wrote, Your Worship, with respect to other councillors' comments, what was tried 20 years ago doesn't concern me. Maybe you guys didn't try hard enough at that time. I'm more concerned about the next 20 years, and I won't give up. Yes, it's taxpayers' money. If it ever concedes to that, so is everything else we do. This council has demonstrated in the last 2 years its willingness to move forward. As per 7 ASPs approved, a new reservoir being built, new roads, etc. Can you imagine in the future as these subdivisions move forward and downtown still stays the same? I just can't see that. Let's wake up and smell the roses. And above all, councillors, please let us get this matter in front of council before we start making decisions where we can have open-minded debate and good discussions on it. Thank you.
Any comments to add to that, gentlemen? Councillor Hamilton?
I'd just like to make a comment. I haven't seen the article. The paper was being delivered to my house as I was coming to council. However, I've discussed it in brief terms today with both Councillor Blockland and Councillor Sobel. And I have my own ideas which will be presented at the full workshop. Just a comment.
And before we leave the topic, I would like to point out, in regards to Earl Best, at the time questions were asked of him, he was, I believe, and I want to clarify this, that he was on a leave of absence. So having been identified as Councillor Earl Best is not necessarily a true representation of what he was at that point. So he may be seen as a regular citizen of Strathmore, where he'd be entitled to air his opinions on that. So I just wanted to clarify that, because at that time he was on a leave of absence, and I don't want him to be incorrectly referred to as an acting councillor at that time. That's one of the points that hit me when I read the article. So I think we all know where we stand. We've discussed the situation as far as personal opinions and keeping an open and fair mind as far as decisions. So is council comfortable moving on to the next item?
Please.
Okay. Item 8, number 8, 8.1, United Way Committee member appointments, found on page 33 of your package for tonight. And I believe this is originated by Jennifer Sawatsky.
Yes, Your Worship, it is. Council's received 2 requests for appointment to the United Way Committee. For members of the public to sit on the Strathmore Committee. Both requests meet the criteria as specified in the terms of reference for the committee that Council just passed a couple of meetings ago. So administration is recommending that Council appoint Ms. Dagmar Walker and Ms. Carolyn McIntyre to the Strathmore United Way Partnership Committee for a term of 1 year.
With pleasure, I would move the council appoint Ms. Dagmar Walker and Ms. Carolyn McIntyre to the Strathmore United Way Partnership Committee for a period of, or a term of 1 year, rather.
You've all heard the motion. Any further discussion? All in favor? The motion is passed. Moving on to new business, item 8.2, Councillor Best, leave of absence, found on page 37. Again, this is brought forward by Jennifer Sawatsky. And I believe Mr. Best is here as well. Welcome, Mr. Best. I didn't see you, I looked up, you were there.
I would move that council withdraw the leave of absence awarded to Councillor Best effective October 4th, 2012.
You all heard the motion, any discussion? All in favor?
Thank you, Your Worship. There is one other thing that I did want to bring up. Last week I received a paycheck from the town for the full amount for the month of September. Having checked over that with the payroll person who inadvertently was not advised, I would like to give this check back for $1,232.52 to the town to repay the money that I should not have received.
Thank you. I guess I can call you Councillor Best again. Thank you, Councillor Best, and I would like to acknowledge your honesty and you accept this return of money that you have been paid inadvertently.
Thank you.
And I will pass this on to administration. Moving on to our next item. Item 8.3, franchise fees, Fortis, found on page 41.
Thank you, Your Worship. Mel is not available this evening. So the town of Strathmore has a franchise fee agreement with Fortis, Alberta. Franchise fees are paid to the municipality for the opportunity to use town-owned rights-of-ways, the exclusive franchise rights granted within the municipality, and property taxes that would otherwise be paid by the utility. The present fee agreement with Fortis, Alberta is at 5%, and the town received $192,316 for the 2011 year. This represents a monthly cost to the average monthly residential bill in Strathmore of $2.30. A franchise fee of 10% would provide approximately $384,632 and cost the average residents $4.60 per month. And administration is requesting that the franchise fee for Fortis, Alberta be adjusted to 10%, and the mayor and chief administrative officer be authorized to make application for the revised rate and sign an agreement with Fortis implementing the amended franchise fee rate of 10%.
Any comments or questions, Councillor Sullivan?
Your Worship, I'm very disappointed in a big glaring piece of information that's missing in this form, and that is the fact that the town's electricity charges have been going up steadily, and that this is what has spurred this motion before us. I would have liked to have seen some numbers in regards to just how much our electricity costs have been paid up. This is not this is obviously looking like a quote-unquote tax grab, and it's not what it is. It is actually an effort for us to recoup our electricity charges that we are expending. And I went to great efforts to make that very clear in the pre-council discussions that we had in the last few weeks. I don't suppose you have any of those numbers, Linda?
I'm sorry, Councillor Sobel, I don't have those numbers.
If I could interject, I'm following Councillor Sobel's line of thought. I would feel more comfortable knowing what our shortfall is as far as our electricity expenditures before I feel comfortable looking at a raise in franchise fee for Fortis Alberta at this time. Any other comments from Councillor? Councillor Sobel?
Fortunately, today is the last day we have to do this. Is that not right, administration, if we want to get that in this year?
I believe so.
Could I ask a question of administration? What is the consequence of us not making a decision on this as of today?
We don't reach.
It would mean that we would need to wait until next year to sign an agreement. To increase.
Would we then be able to, in our fall budget meeting, be able to address or look at any other items of revenue for that shortfall? I guess again, my concern is making a decision tonight when we don't have all the facts as far as how much we're down as far as the need for revenue. Councillor Rocky.
Well, Your Worship, I'd also like it to be known that at a present rate of 5%, we are one of the lowest municipalities around at that rate.
Which is good.
We have, let's see. We have a cap of 20% for a franchise fee, and that came from bylaw 0821. So that was passed in 5% began in 2008. So we haven't increased that rate for 4 years, just for council's information. We also have some numbers from surrounding communities, ranging between 20, 15, 12% franchise fees that other communities are currently utilizing.
Just before I come to Councillor Sutton, Councillor Rempel, I believe you had your hand up.
Through the chair, Your Worship, the 5% increase, or the increase to 10%, that doesn't hit the break-even point. It just gets us a little bit closer to the break-even point. We're still well below recouping the actual costs.
Councillor Sobel.
Yeah, I agree, Councillor Rempel, and I don't want to. I appreciate $2.30. It's $2.30, and I'm not making light of that. But this is not a situation where we're only interested in keeping up with the Joneses, I'm not particularly interested in what everyone else is charging, but I do have to consider our bottom line, and we're losing money on electricity. So I'm prepared to make a motion in regards to this with the promise by council, by administration, that they will ensure our numbers in regards to electricity charges are publicized in the next newspaper in our ad.
Could I ask a further question following the line to Ms. Nelson? If we look at some sort of increase in franchise fee, could it be a little more open-ended so that the increase would only cover whatever the loss of revenue is? So we're below. It just feels like we're thinking of passing something and we don't really know exactly how much we need to pass in order to
But we did have those numbers, your worship, but they were provided to us, they're not available tonight
Yeah.
for public. You ready?
If there's no further discussion, I would entertain a motion concerning this point.
I move that the franchise fee for Fortis Alberta be adjusted to 10%, the mayor and chief administrative officer be authorized to make application for the revised rate to sign the agreement with Fortis implementing the amended franchise fee rate of 10%, and that we publicize our town's electricity costs in the next edition of our town information page in the paper.
You've all heard the motion. Is there any further discussion? Sorry, Councilor Blackburn?
If this motion passes, this doesn't kick in until January 1st, right?
That's correct.
That's correct.
Okay, my only point is, and I recognize and I respect your comments, Councilor Silva, that we did have the information at one time. I'd like to point out again, it's not here tonight, it concerns me. That's the only discussion point I want to make before we vote on the motion. So you've all heard the motion? Is anyone read back, or are we all okay with it? You've all heard the motion, all in favor? Opposed? Okay. The next item on the new business, item 8.4, the East Calgary Regional Water Line Connection, the Wheatland Regional Water Partnership. I'm not sure if all the public may not have this. This came forward today in a separate, okay. Okay. And this is originated by Jesse Parker, so I turn to Linda Nelson.
Thank you, Your Worship. The Wheatland Regional Water Partnership is a group consisting of the village of Rockingford, Wheatland County, the village of Hazard, and the village of Stanley. A recent study performed by MPE Engineering on behalf of the WRWP concluded that the best source of potable water for the partnership is to connect to the East Calgary Regional Water Line and receive potable water from the city of Calgary via Strathmore's water line. The WRWP are requesting permission from Strathmore to connect to the ECRW so that they may continue the process with grant applications for design and construction. As part of the design of the water line, the line was designed and constructed to include water supply to Wheatland County as well as Rocky County up to a population of 30,000. As a result of the consideration for connection to these areas, there is sufficient capacity for the WRWP to connect to the ECRW water line. This is based on a request for a connection for up to 2,866 residents. There are a number of other factors that need to be defined, and it is administration's recommendation that if council consider an approval for the WRWP connection, that it be based on at least the following: an agreement with the City of Calgary to provide potable water, determination of recovery costs for tie-in, determination of operations and maintenance charges going forward, determining a connection tie-in location and alignment for pipeline if located within the town of Strathmore. Where we are very early in the discussion with the WRWP regarding connection, these and other details will be determined over time. It is recommended that council approve the WRWP to connect to the ECRW and that a letter be generated in response to the request, indicating that there will be conditions associated with connection which will be determined in the future. And our recommended action is that council approve the Wheatland Regional Water Partnership's request for connection to the East Calgary Regional Water Line in principle, subject to conditions including but not limited to future upgrading, ongoing maintenance, cost recovery for town's cost and construction of the regional water line to be determined, and that a letter of support in principle regarding the connection be forwarded to the Wheatland Regional Water Partnership.
Any comments or questions from the council? Councilor Blackburn?
Your worship, through the chair to the deputy CAO, Linda, can you expand on determination of recovery costs for tie-in? I'm trying to straighten that out in my head.
Recovery costs for tie-in?
Yeah, I'm not saying nobody deserves the right to deny anybody water. The town has a significant investment in the water line from Calgary to Strathmore. And they're gonna tie into that one going east, right?
Correct.
Are we gonna be able to charge rental on the line back, or?
I guess it depends on what kind of conditions that council wants to place on the agreement. And these are just conditions that we should be considering at this point. We need to determine the final conditions. These are just a few of the conditions.
Just in principle.
And it's, yes, in principle. And the reason this is coming forward now is that the partnership needs to make an application for funding, and their application deadline is November 30th. So we'd like to give them the approval letter in principle so that we're not holding up their application, and then the conditions would be determined at a later date, the actual conditions.
Sounds good.
Any other comments, questions? I'm looking for a motion.
Yes, your worship, I'll make that motion. It's with pleasure that and I've always supported the extension of our line to our neighbors in Wheatland County, all 2,866 of them looking for water. I move that council support the Wheatland Regional Water Partnership's request for connection to the East Calgary Regional Water Line in principle, subject to conditions including but not limited to future upgrading, ongoing maintenance, cost recovery for town's costs, and construction of the regional water line to be determined, and that a letter of support in principle regarding the connection before the two regional, Wheatland Regional Water Partnership.
We've all heard the motion. Is there any further discussion? I'd like to call the motion. All in favor? Motion passed. That brings us to item 9 in tonight's meeting, administration. Anything from the administration to bring forward? Thank you. That takes us to number 10. Committee and departmental reports. 10.1, council committee reports. This is these are the reports from the various council members from the committees and boards they sit on. So are we okay to start with Councilor Sobel first?
Sure. Your worship, in regards to a Family Center Advisory Board, although no official Family Center meetings were held in September, bless you, discussions were had with representatives of the user group who raised an issue, and one which I share, about the quality of sound system in the Family Center. This concern has been echoed by other groups who have similar concerns about the quality of the sound system in the Civic Center. These concerns have been brought to the attention of our administration, who, as I understand, are making efforts to deal with both of these issues. Strathmore Wheatland Addiction Team. A board meeting was held on September 6th. An election was held for the executive positions of the board. The highlights of the issues dealt with were in regards to the positive ticketing program, and a decision was made to continue this program at least until June of 2013. The signboard program, which due to financial restraint, decision was made to advertise both positive and negative addiction-based slogans on only one sign rather than two, starting in October and maintaining them until the end of April. And finally, some words of thanks and appreciation to Staff Sergeant Larry Marzinzik of the RCMP, who is retired and was a long-time SWAT member and advocate, and who is moving to Kelowna. In regards to the Arts and Recreational Foundation, ARC, a meeting was held September 12th, and Mr. Bill Fraser was introduced as a long-time consultant for community projects similar to this one. Mr. Fraser will be providing some advice and suggestions to the group in the future. The newly formed Strathmore Regional Arts Collective was introduced to the group. As representatives of the arts movement in Strathmore District, they hope to play a pivotal role in ensuring the arts side of ARC is successful. In regards to the actual plans for the building, it was clear that a great deal of work remains to be done as new ideas and suggestions continue to surface. The group's main goal at this point is to develop a final concept, set a timeline, and then prepare to present a package to the golf course membership. Strathmore Assembly for Youth, no meeting was held in September. In regards to, lastly, Highway 1 Bypass Committee, as a result of a letter forwarded to the Department of Transportation committee members, I forgot a comma, Department of Transportation, committee members Mayor Graycheck and myself and our CAO attended Edmonton on September 19th to meet with Deputy Minister Tim Grant and members of his staff. The purpose of this meeting was to raise a number of issues that continue to be of concern with regards to the anticipated bypass. The first question, quite naturally, was in regards to timing. We were advised that substantial work still had to be done by their department before the area of timing could be considered. Mr. Grant was clear that he considered this issue one of priority, and it was felt that more substantive efforts would be made in the next year to finalize some decisions by their department and to provide a letter of intent to the town pertaining to the bypass. Other areas that were raised were Eagle Lake Pathway. It was explained to Mr. Grant that there was a grave concern expressed by council about the proposed bypass intersecting and therefore severing the Eagle Lake Pathway. He provided assurances that he is prepared to protect this route and committed to ensuring that something would be done to make sure that the pathway is maintained. Signage was raised. It was acknowledged that even adequate signage would be necessary to advertise the town at considerable distances prior to the bypass. Once again, Mr. Grant acknowledged and appreciated the importance of this issue and vowed to work closely with us to ensure this was satisfactory. Condition of present highway when bypass comes into effect. Mr. Grant and his staff acknowledged that they would ensure the condition of present Highway 1 within town boundaries is of acceptable standard, in other words, not in need of any repair when it is turned over to the town. Height of overpasses, Mr. Grant acknowledged that this portion of the new highway will be used for transportation of very tall oil patch equipment and assured us that the height of the proposed overpasses will take this issue into account. In conclusion, there appears to be an overwhelming desire on the part of Alberta Transportation to ensure this project is treated as a partnership with Strathmore and that the end result is something that will benefit our community. That's all the information I have, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Sobel. Moving on, Councillor Blockland.
Your Worship, I attended a handy bus meeting September 24th. Financial report, the status is good. We're moving forward slowly on an ongoing basis. Operations report, advertising for part-time drivers, they're finding that very challenging. Our monthly trips are increasing in August up to 636. Increase in group bookings puts pressure on scheduling drivers as they're all booked on busy days. The board set an approved policy to obtain information on clients for emergency situations. One question did come up and I gotta find the answer here somewhere. The handy bus garage, they want to know if it's used only for handy bus purposes only. United Way meeting last night, only 3 of us present. Very informally discussed past, present, and future plans. Obviously, we have to regroup as we go through changes after signing the MOU with Calgary. The group is still very positive. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councillor Blockland. Councillor Hamilton.
We have the meeting held on September 10th in the county office. The financial report's gone over. Chair's report as well. The operations report was given. Calls are a total of 2,130, which is an increase to date, which is an increase of 1.8% over last year. There is no date when negotiations for a new contract with AHS will take place as yet. The Chamber of Commerce meeting was held on September 13th, 2012 at the town office. At this time, a lengthy discussion was held as the completion date of the new office, which is now a moot point because it's now open for business. There have been 8 new businesses sign on to the Chamber, and there will be a drive to recruit more as the year progresses. Chair's report was given, as well as the operations manager's report was given as well, which mostly dealt with the new office. Communities improvement, no meeting held. Citizen on patrol, no meeting was held. The board or council was away on personal business. Just to note, I'm on a new committee, the 55-plus games bid meeting will be held tomorrow, October 4th at noon here at the town office.
Thank you, Councillor Hamilton. Councillor Rempel.
There are no meetings in the month of September for the committee that I'm on.
Okay, thank you. I sit on a few boards as well, so I'll report on mine. There were 2 meetings with the Strathmore Youth Club. One was an annual general meeting. We have, just to let the public know and the rest of my councillors, we now have 10 programs running this fall. We have a chefs, two groups of chefs from ages 6 to 8, 9 to 12, Create a Cook, Fantastic Fridays, which is designed for Flex Fridays to give kids something to do. We have a hot lunch program, Junior Leadership, Senior Leadership, a new program called Mythbusters following the television program, and Mad Scientist. We have a special course on applied suicide training to help in that area, babysitting course. And we are also looking for ways to subsidize families who are having difficulties affording to pay for programs. There's a new program coming in called the Homework Club, where high school students will be used to help younger kids with their homework, not necessarily doing their homework, but helping them steer them in the right direction. At our regular meeting this month, we have an election of board discussed and will take place at our next meeting. There's a Halloween party scheduled on October 26th, and this time we're going after the older youth. The party is set for junior and senior high students. That will be run by parents and band volunteers. The other thing I wanted to mention, the security cameras are installed, and we passed a motion to have the club director position become a paid position. Library, I missed the last meeting that was held. I was not able to attend, but I did attend the annual and incredibly entertaining budget meeting where you heard, it was held on Saturday, September 8th, and you heard that we had a balanced budget with the whopping amount of $11 being added to the reserve fund. So that's good that we have a balanced budget. It shows a lot of work on our board and our library staff. Land Housing, I sit on that board as well. We didn't have any meetings in August, and what we had so far to report on is in July there was a staff barbecue as well, combined with the Lawn Service Awards. It was very well attended at the Wheatland Lodge parking lot. The roof has been replaced on the Wheatland Lodge, and there were many problems found with the existing one. It has been done very, very well, and I would like to point out and have a public thanks to our board chair, Mark Jabot, who gave up a great deal of time in his summer to help supervise with the work. And at the last meeting, we discussed many policies regarding safety in the workplace. Those are my committee reports. Am I looking for a motion to accept those?
I move that we accept the committee reports, Your Worship.
Thank you. We all have a motion. All in favor? Okay. That brings us to item 11, questions between councillors and or to administration. And I only have one question to Linda. I just want to make sure, because I'm new to this, it does feel comfortable here. I'm new to this position, and I just want to make sure, have we followed the correct procedure? I appreciate the honesty of Councillor Best. I just want to make sure we follow the correct procedure as far as accepting his reimbursement to the town for salary that was overpaid during his leave.
Yes, absolutely, and we will turn that into our finance department for processing.
Okay, thank you very much. That takes us to item 12, council invitations. 12.1, Canadian Breast Cancer Foundation, found on page 49 of your package. This is originated by Jennifer Sawatsky.
Yes, Your Worship. Council's received a request from the Canadian Breast Cancer Foundation to proclaim the month of October as Breast Cancer Awareness Month in Strathmore. And that is administration's recommendation to proclaim October as Breast Cancer Awareness Month in Strathmore.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer.
Your Worship, I move that council proclaim the month of October as Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
You all heard the motion. All in favor? Motion passed. And that takes us to the end for adjournment. I'd like to thank the members of the public and the press for attending tonight, and I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. We've all seen it, All in favor?